Sure. There it is. Okay. So we do have quorum now. Ms. Davis on.
All right, good morning, everybody. I would like to go ahead then and call to order the Mountain Lion Transit Advisory Committee meeting on June 5th at 10:01. Rhonda, would you do roll call?
Thank you, Chairman and members of the TAC. Coconino County, Kim Musselman.
Present. Good morning.
Good morning. Coconino County Citizen Representative Carol Covington.
Present.
Thank you. City of Flagstaff, both Greg Clifton and Joanne Keene are excused, as well as City of Flagstaff Representative Michelle James. Metro Plan Dave Wessel.
Good morning, I'm here.
Thank you. NAU Aaron Stamm.
Good morning here.
Thank you. NAU student Isha Saida is the incoming ASNAU president, and she is on summer break, but we'll hope to see her later in the year. CCC Kurt Stoll.
Present.
Thank you. And Economic Development Representative Gail Jackson will be joining us a little bit later on. We do have Cameron Stanley, our legal counsel, on the line.
Good morning. Happy to see everyone.
Good morning. Two of us are here in the Vera room, and all of the other staff are on Zoom. And I'll turn it back to you, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is our safety minute. Sam Short's got our safety minute.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the Transit Advisory Committee. Can everybody hear me okay still?
Yes.
All right. So June's first safety minute is on PPE, or personal protective equipment. Personal protective equipment is essential for protecting employees from a variety of hazards, including chemical, radiological, physical, electrical, and mechanical risks. PPE is the last line of defense when engineering controls and work practices are not enough. Choosing the right PPE for the specific job and ensuring it fits properly is crucial. Incorrectly sized PPE can compromise your protection. Here are some following items to consider when using PPE. Employees need to be trained on what PPE is required for their specific jobs and when they need to use it. Employees also need to be trained on how to wear the PPE properly. Regular inspection, maintenance, and storage of PPE is necessary to ensure that it remains effective and safe to use. Always encourage employees to wear their PPE and reward those that do. Wearing PPE isn't just an OSHA rule, it's protection for your life and your future. Every helmet, glove, mask, or vest is a barrier between you and serious harm. Let's all be safe, gear up, and set the standard. Thank you and welcome to the June Transit Advisory Committee meeting.
Thank you, Sam. Our next item is milestone anniversaries, which we have quite a few of, and I'm turning that over to Heather.
And Heather has asked if I can do it. She's having some technical difficulties. So
Thank you.
apologies. I'm in my office with no furniture in it as we're mid-move that I wasn't expecting to be on camera, so I apologize. And I'm going to read these here. So our June milestone anniversaries, we have Dave Wessel, who funny has 5 years, but with since MetroPlan joined Mountain Line, but Dave actually has 28 years total in his time at the city of Flagstaff when they had the Flagstaff Metropolitan Planning Organization, which is now known as MetroPlan. So 5 years technically with Mountain Line, but 28 years total for his service. And then we have two of our operations team members, Susan Sloan, who's a transit ambassador. So she's one of our staff members who's out on the platform helping our riders. And that's a position that we've recently added and has been really helpful, especially during the time when we don't have a building or any really, structure where down there besides that trailer while we were building the Downtown Connection Center. So that having someone out on that platform has been really helpful. And then we have Rod Kramer, who is a transit operator who is celebrating 1 year. I've had the opportunity to ride Rod's bus several times, and he is always very friendly and welcoming to everyone who gets on the bus. Are there more, Rhonda, or is that it? Oh, okay, I'll keep going. And then we also from MetroPlan have Corey Cooper, who is celebrating 1 year with MetroPlan. He is the Safe Routes to School coordinator and has done a great job of working with a lot of our local schools to figure out travel patterns and things along those lines. And then we have a group of transit operators who are also all celebrating their 1 year anniversary. Andre Mosey, Arlinda Cody, and Harriet Cody. Arlinda and Harriet are related, in case you're wondering. And so congratulations, or sorry, are there more before I before I say that I'm done?
That should be it for the
Okay.
milestone.
Yes, so congratulations to all of those employees on those milestones.
Thank you, Jackie, for stepping in there. The next item on our agenda is a call to a public, and there is nobody that has any comments to the public. Is that correct, Rhonda? Nothing's changed in the last few minutes?
We did not receive any comments
Okay.
via email. There is no one here
Okay.
in the room.
Thank
We're
you.
good. Thanks.
Next is the approval of the TAC minutes for April 3rd. Is there any corrections or additions that any of the members would like to make changes to the meeting for April 3rd? Hearing none, I'll ask for a motion to accept the minutes as written.
There, this is Erin Stom. I make a motion to approve the minutes.
Do we have a second?
This is Carol, and I would move to second it.
All right. With that, we'll move forward for a vote. Everybody in favor of approving the minutes, please say aye or raise your right hand. Aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, it approves unanimously. Right, next item is discussion action items, and our first one is fiscal year 2026 budget adoption, and Josh Stone is going to be presenting on that.
Thank you, Chair. Josh Stone here, a financial manager at Mountain Line. Good morning to all members of the TAC. So today I'll provide a very brief summary of the tentative fiscal year 2026 budget that we're recommending to the Board of Directors for adoption later this month. Adoption of this budget will establish a maximum appropriation of $60,126,529, which includes $14,206,892 for operating expenditures and $45,919,637 for capital expenditures. Before diving into the details, I'll extend my appreciation to our staff, you all on the Transit Advisory Committee, and to our board members. Everyone's evaluation and prioritization of our operational and capital plans over the last year were instrumental in developing this budget. So it's a significant undertaking, and we certainly value everyone's input throughout the process in working to carry out our service goals. So over the past several months, we have reviewed key components of the budget in more detail. In February, we focused on the workforce-related expenditures. In March, we reviewed other operating expenses. In April, we examined capital projects. In May, just a few weeks ago, we looked at revenue sources for the entire budget. And all of this information, as has been presented in those meetings, no changes have been made since those presentations. So the budget stands as it is, as it was developed. The operating budget continues to prioritize compensation and benefits with a $1.1 million investment in that area. This amount includes implementation of recommendations from our recently completed compensation study, along with full incorporation of the substantial pay table increases for operations staff that were implemented earlier this fiscal year. So those are more permanently codified in this budget. Beyond personnel costs, operating expenditure adjustments primarily reflect the recognition of the opening of the Downtown Connection Center, and that includes numerous realignments of across all facility but related budget line items to support the operation of now two significant operating properties. And then turning to the capital budget, some notable investments include ordering a number of replacement buses for our fleet, about $3 million in various bus stop upgrades and accessibility improvements, and about $6.5 million in budget capacity for bicycle and pedestrian infrastructure improvements in partnership with the City of Flagstaff. That is funded by a federal grant with local match dollars coming from the city rather than from Mountain Line's transit tax, but it is included in our budget capacity. And the largest project at about $28 million is the Caspar maintenance facility expansion that we hope to have in construction very soon. And then finally, with the capital budget, we will carry forward about $38.2 million in previously approved projects from fiscal year 2025 into 2026. Carry forward includes a few multi-year projects such as the maintenance facility expansion, where the design work and contract awards were still in progress, and they haven't been finished in the current fiscal year. So to close, we will request the Board of Directors adoption in a couple of weeks of the fiscal year 2026 proposed budget for just over $60 million. And that is all I have for that. I'm happy to take any questions. Anybody has any remaining questions for the budget this year?
Thanks, Josh. Does anyone have any questions for Josh? Right, hearing none. Thank you, Josh.
Thanks.
The next item is paratransit guide and rules of service delivery. And for his first presentation to the TAC, it's going to be Randy.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair and committee members. I appreciate the opportunity to address this committee. Staff is recommending the Board of Directors open a public comment period to go through August 20th for the purpose of Mountain Line Paratransit Guide and rule service changes that we're proposing. This is related to our strategic plan and aligned with service excellence and community engagement. To provide some background, Mountain Line tracks several data points for paratransit program, including no-show and late cancellation trips. To provide context, a no-show trip is when the van arrives, waits for the predetermined 5-minute window to pick up the client. The client fails to come out, and then the driver moves on to their next pickup. And a no-show is a late cancellation is when a client cancels their trip within 2 hours of the designated negotiated pickup time. These are important items for our paratransit to maintain efficiency because we're sending vans after passengers who have either forgot about their trip because they've scheduled it so far in advance, or they were unable to travel due to health issues, which we do address in our policy, allowing them to address those issues with us if they feel that a no-show or a late cancellation that that was allotted to their trips is unfairly done or is unfairly assigned. For the fiscal year through April 2025, about 24% of our trips were later no-show cancellations. That's about 4,500 trips. So what that does is if we pull up to pick up a client, they're not taking the trip, they forgot about the trip. It takes up capacity on the van for our software to schedule other riders for that, whether it's a Mountain Line Go or a paratransit rider, which reduces the efficiency of our fleet. So a couple things that we're looking at getting public feedback on is the pickup window. So when paratransit riders make a reservation for a trip, they're given a negotiated pickup time. The pickup window for that trip is 15 minutes before or 15 minutes after that negotiated pickup time for the van to be considered on time per ADA standards. What we are looking to do is change that pickup time from the negotiated pickup time up to 30 minutes past the negotiated pickup time. The reason we are looking to make this change is the van can actually arrive within that 15 minutes prior to the negotiated pickup time, wait there 5 minutes and depart, and the client isn't ready to travel, and it would be counted as a no-show. The new proposal that we have to change it to 0 to 30 minutes means the van would not arrive until the negotiated pickup time, but could arrive up to 30 minutes after, which should improve our efficiency. Another change we're looking at making is to the advanced reservations. Currently, paratransit clients can schedule reservations for travel up to 14 days in advance of their trip. And looking at the data points, through April 2025, over 37% of those advanced trips that were scheduled greater than 7 days in advance were no-show or canceled trips. That accounts to 7,099 trips. So that, again, affects the efficiency of our fleet and our ability to transport our clients and our customers throughout the city. The last proposal that we were seeking public comment on is for no-shows, as I stated, which when the van pulls up, the client isn't ready to travel. The current policy states that the client, for a violation to occur, they have to have 5 no-shows in a calendar year and 20% of their trips, their overall total trips for the year or for the month to be counted as or to receive a violation letter. We would like to change that language to 5 trips in a calendar month and or 20% of the total scheduled trips for the month. Reason being, we have a number of clients who schedule trips. They may only have 9 trips, but they cancel 4 of them, so they haven't reached the threshold to under the current criteria to receive a no-show violation or for us to address the issue with them. And that affects our ability to transport our clients. So this would allow us to communicate with our clients, and our goal is not to take transit away from them, but to enhance the transit services that they're receiving. And if we have clients who are having difficulty, working through those difficult times with them and understanding what their needs are so we can get them quality transit services. We have notices that we've prepared, including a survey that we will send out to clients once the board approves this to receive their feedback, and then we will compile all that information and present it to the board in August. Our go live date on this, the projected go live date is September 1st with board approval. The fiscal impact of these proposed changes will reduce costs and increase capacity that will result in better customer service and increased ridership. As we move forward with our plans to extend our service hours for paratransit to increase our service levels and across the fixed fleet, we can only see our paratransit getting busier. So we think it's important to address these issues now and take care of these problems or these issues before they become major issues down the road. Alternatives, approve the public comment period. Receiving public comments regarding the proposed changes is required by federal funding, and allows staff the opportunity to assess the impact to customers if or when the changes are implemented. Customer feedback is vital in planning and delivering the services to the community and enhancing our overall customer experience while addressing current challenges. The other alternative is to not approve this public comment period, which will result in increased no-show and cancellations, as we've seen a steady rise over the last 12 to 18 months as our ridership has increased after COVID. So we feel it's important that we take this action, receive community feedback, and then make any adjustments to our proposal to meet the customer needs while we're delivering our service excellence. So that completes my presentation. I would be happy to take any questions or answer any questions or receive any feedback that you have at this time.
Thank you, Randy. Any questions or comments for Randy?
This is Carol. I wanted to. It occurred to me that you were talking about the no-shows and cancellations, and it brought to my mind the technology that a lot of doctors' offices and other services use, where it's like, we'll see you in an hour, or just reminder text messages. And I wonder if something like that could be, or maybe it's already being used, and it might be if you need to cancel, this is your last window of opportunity, ding, 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 or something. So that was just one thought. I also wanted to mention that the draft letter that goes out, and there was some other reference that was copied out of something else that came further on. It was hard to get through 102 pages yesterday. Spells canceled two different ways in the same letter. So I thought I would just make note of that. I thought there should be some consistency there. And I don't think I have any other suggestions. Thanks.
I appreciate that. As you were reading through the presentation or the documents that were provided, the items that were in italics were taken directly from the Paratransit Rider Guide, which has the cancellation spelt with 2 L's instead of 1. Since I was quoting directly from the Rider Guide, I didn't want to change anything since that verbiage is already in place. As we look to update our Rider Guide as we move forward with this process, that will be changed in the near future. And I will check with our software provider about the advanced notifications. We have weekly meetings with them. I have one on Friday, so I will address that to them on Friday.
Great. And it was in that guide that it was spelled 2 different ways. And I personally prefer 2 L's, but I know there tends to be a recent trend towards 1 L, but I'm old school. Anyway, thank you for that.
Not a problem.
Any other questions or comments? Right, thank you, Randy.
Thank you.
The next item is, did Heather make it back on?
I
Okay.
did.
All right, yeah, the next item is legislative priorities for 2025 and 2026.
Great. Thank you, Chair Stoll, and thanks to all of you, Transit Advisory Committee members, for participating in the May joint meeting. I hope you were able to review that if you did not attend. But really what I'm proposing this month for the Board of Directors is they update and, they adopt our updated legislative priorities for 2025, 2026. I did develop these with the conversation with Bob Holmes, our federal legislative liaison, and Karen Cruz, our state legislative liaison, in mind. The things that they talked about were really developed into the bullet points that we're going to review and ask the board to adopt. So I have separated out the priorities on several slides so that we could talk through them and be happy to answer questions as we go along. So I'm first going to talk about the federal priorities that are being proposed. The first is to really ensure reauthorization of transportation funding. We have in past had here maintain funding levels, but we've changed this to be more broad since this is reauthorization time. IIJA does expire in 2026, and so we are making it a priority to participate in conversations about reauthorization of the same amount of funding as authorized in IIJA. But essentially, it's not just about the same funding, it's really that funding needs to be reauthorized in order for us to continue to do the work that we're doing with those funds. Next slide. Related to funding, we are seeking an increase in the small transit intensive cities set aside. It's currently at 3%. We are prioritizing an ask to make it 5%. This is not about more money necessarily, like the prior priority. This is about a set aside within that funding to fund this specific program. And just as a brief reminder, Mountain Line currently receives all 6 of the 6 benchmarks for this funding. These are measurements of performance. So we are hopeful that we can get support for making that change from 3 to 5%. I think when I presented the priorities last month, it said 4%, and we've learned that the associations are actually asking for 5%. I do think some of the thinking behind that is ask for 5 and hope for 4. But that support for that stick is going to remain one of our priorities in our conversations at the federal level. Next slide. And this is our last bullet under federal priorities, and this is about the transit regulations. This has been an ongoing item. We will always have probably conversations about regulations in our priorities. I've listed a couple that continue to be high priorities for us. Updating the commercial driver's license requirements to create a license that's specific to transit drivers and what we do. We have been talking about that for several years. It has grown in popularity amongst transit agencies, and it seems to be favorably viewed by many. A commercial driver's license was really designed for the trucking industry, and it doesn't apply necessarily to all the functions and the supports that our team members have when they operate, especially within a municipality or in a city limits. We are asking for transit agencies to retain the value of sold end-of-life vehicles, and I'll just talk briefly about that. All federally funded vehicles have a defined life cycle that we must use them for. And it used to be that when we sold them at end of life, whatever we sold them for, we, the transit agency, could retain. They have changed that. And we now, even if it's a 12-year life cycle vehicle, which is what a lot of our vehicles are, and we sell it at 13 years when it's end of life, if I gain $5,000 in that sale, I actually have to pay FTA 80% of that $5,000 back. So we're asking them to allow us to retain those funds and use them for our transit programs. And the third regulation that we are just asking them broadly to look at for conflicting rules and reducing requirements. You can see in the top kind of descriptor of updating transit regulations, our push has been, if you reduce the administrative burden, you actually, in essence, give us more money because we can be more cost effective. We can spend our funding on providing service rather than administering it. So I will pause briefly as those are the three federal priorities before I go into the state and local. See if there's any questions. Okay, hearing none, I'm going to keep rolling. Next slide. We are continuing to include state priorities. We have two. One is the ongoing desire to create an opportunity for reoccurring funding for transit. We have not found the right mix in that conversation, but we certainly are participating in all the conversations that demonstrate a need for funding from the state across Arizona. And really part of the conversation is helping us ensure that the federal funds that are coming to Arizona from the gas tax and other sources stay in Arizona without local match. Those funds return to the federal government and are distributed to other states. And then separately, similar to the federal, we are looking to the state to assist us with transit supportive changes to regulations and rules. So where you can't find funding for us, can you help us identify rules that could be modified, changed, or implemented that would support transit and transit programs? Again, looking to reduce some burden somewhere else so that those funds can go towards service. And those are our two state priorities. And again, I'll pause briefly if there's any questions. All right, we're on the last slide on this particular item is the local priorities, and I just kept the codified transit into the city regional plan and development process as these are still open and ongoing processes with the city. These are unchanged from what was here in the 2024-2025 priorities. So we will be reviewing these priorities with the board of directors, asking them to adopt them, and then it helps us set our meetings and conversations with our elected officials around these priorities. And that's my presentation for today.
Thank you. Any comments?
Once again, Carol here. The memorandum, or wasn't exactly a memorandum, whatever it was, that followed the sheet that listed the bullet point priorities.
Yes.
Is that it was unclear who that was from or to whom it was directed. And I found it to be some of it was very difficult to understand for me. Seemed like run-on sentences in some cases. But also just, again, I don't know if this is going to the board or who it's going to, but the tone of that document that ends with "thank you for your consideration" was kind of grumpy. And I've just felt like it was, yeah, it might be worthy of another look or something.
Okay.
That's all.
I appreciate that. I'll just clarify that document was developed for our elected officials and the House T&I. So we will look back at the language, but the audience was really officials in DC who are making decisions around reauthorization, and we were asking them to prioritize those bullets in reauthorization. So I will go back through it, and I will also clarify that in the document before the board. I appreciate your feedback.
Any other comments? Thank you, Heather. The next item is FY24 financial audit report and corrective action plan, and we're back with Josh.
Thank you, Chair. I don't really have a formal presentation of any sort for you today, but we wanted to provide you with just a brief update on the status of our fiscal year 2024 financial audit. So the federal deadline, you probably know, is for single audit filing is typically that it is due to be filed by March 31st, following the close of the fiscal year. Unfortunately, as I believe some details have already been shared with you, we've experienced several delays in finalizing our financial statements, making sure that they're accurate. So one of the more significant factors contributing to the delay has been the implementation of new financial management software, which has turned out to be much more complex and time-consuming than initially anticipated. We did submit a request for extension to the Financial Transit Administration. That was granted through June 30th. And we're currently actively working with our audit partner, Heinfield Meach, and their accountants to meet this new deadline. However, it's unlikely that the final audit report will be ready in time for our regular board meeting in a couple weeks. So as such, we will likely need to convene a special board meeting towards the end of the month to approve the audit prior to filing. In the meantime, we have developed our own internal corrective action plan to address some of the timing issues we encountered. We reviewed our finance procedures and revised some of our deadlines so we can try to ensure an accurate and swift close to our fiscal year, particularly now that the financial system implementation is complete. We anticipate a smoother and more timely audit process going forward. We may also receive additional recommendations for corrective action from Heinfield Meach, although we have not finalized any of those with them yet. So that's just a quick update on this. We don't have an official report to comment on at this time, but we will have that to the board by the end of the month, we believe. So if anybody has anything you'd like any questions, we can try to answer those.
Thank you, Josh. Hearing no questions, we'll continue to move on. The next one is the CDL course use report, and that's going to be Sam.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the Transit Advisory Committee. My name is Sam Short. I'm the Workforce Director for Mountain Line, and I'm here today to give you an update on the Commercial Driver's License Testing and Training Facility. So the Commercial Driver's License Testing and Training Facility was a partnership with Northern Arizona University to construct a 60,000-foot concrete pad to provide bus operator training and testing. So this course was officially opened on May 22nd of 2024, so just barely a year ago. And the course location is on the northeast end of the campus behind building 77, which I believe is the facility services building. Aaron can correct me if I'm wrong on that. But we wanted to give you an update today on what we've done with the course since it has been opened. Next slide, please. So here's a picture of the course being used. We use the course for many different reasons. As I mentioned earlier, we do use it to practice for CDL testing, so people can get their CDL commercial driver's license. To date, there has been approximately 56 people that have gotten their CDL by using this course. 39 of those were done through Mountain Line, and 17 of those were done through Northern Arizona University. Next course, please. Or next slide, please. Sorry. So some of the partnerships we formed, as I mentioned earlier, with NAU Transportation, they've used the course extensively, almost as much as we have, and they have trained approximately 120 people, I believe, is the number that they have trained total. So that is reoccurring training, just regular drivers training for NAU staff, so they've used it extensively, as has Mountain Line. We've also let the local law enforcement agencies use the course. I believe all of the local law enforcement agencies have used the course at least once. And even as of 2 weeks ago, the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms provided joint training with the NAU Police Department. Phoenix Truck Driving School is scheduled to start using this course this summer, and they plan to use the course 3 to 4 days a week. We've also had other interests from several of our local partner transit agencies like Cottonwood Area Transit and Hopi Sinom. They've shown interest in using the course, so we're still trying to determine what that's going to look like going forward. Next slide, please. So again, here's Mountain Line staff. We have trained 110 staff. 39 of those have obtained CDLs. The other trainings that we've done on the course itself, we use it for behind the wheel training, post-accident training. We use the course to practice loading and unloading mobility devices or wheelchairs. And it's just been great to have somewhere to go and use the course. When it snows, we go over there and show the trainees what it feels like to drive on the snow. We haven't been plowing the course, so we could actually get them out in the snow and be in a safe, secure environment with the bus and nobody else around, so they can see how it feels to drive in the snow in the bus. NAU has trained 137 staff and do not have any numbers as far as local law enforcement personnel that they've trained. Next slide, please. So here's another picture of the course. This is a picture of them providing commercial driver's license training, and this is a straight line backing course where they have to back the bus up through a set of cones all the way until they exit the alley of cones, and then they are stopping. Next slide, please. So this is just an update. The board may provide direction, but there's no recommendation from staff at this time. Are there any questions regarding the CDL course training use?
Any questions for Josh, or sorry, for Sam? Thank you, Sam. It's great to see the great use for this new facility for the CDL people. Next we have Anne, and she's got First Mile, Last Mile Partnership Project.
Thank you. Ann Dunno, Capital Development Manager. Greetings, TAC. I am just providing a general update on our First Mile, Last Mile Partnership Project. Next slide, please, Rhonda. As was mentioned earlier during the budget presentation, this is a project that is a partnership project with the city, funded with FTA grant funds and local match with the city's own funds from their transportation budget. The whole approach to eligible projects, we've essentially under an IGA with the city is actually project managing all of this effort, and we are providing the grant oversight, and we are also providing the procurements for the design and contractor, the CMAR. The projects, the purpose of this whole program was to really have the city look at many of the missing infrastructure for sidewalks, pedestrian crossings, and bike infrastructure, more like bike lanes that are, they've identified over the whole community, and then working projects that are eligible for this funds are within 1/2 mile of transit and 3 miles of transit for bike facilities. So the city did kind of their own screening and then developed a list of projects. We also did put a requirement that any projects under this funding would be constructed within the existing right-of-way, so would not require right-of-way acquisition to do the work. And that was just something to help us kind of just keep it tighter for streamlining our environmental NEPA requirements. Next slide, please, Rhonda. As was mentioned earlier, under the budget, there's two pots of money. There was a design grant for about 1.2 million, and then the construction grants total about 5.6. And each of the pots of money within the construction grants have to fit within about 1.7 for bike construction related items and 3.9 million for pedestrian items. And really crossings can kind of fit for both. So we're able to kind of work through that. Next slide, please, Rhonda. Obviously, there are many needs in our community for this missing bike and ped infrastructure. So the city really worked to screen down eligible projects. And then we worked with the design team to kind of, again, keep screening as we went through feasibility, what was going to fit within the grant requirements and what we could achieve with final design that would work with a budget that we have for construction. So we had brought on our CMAR partner, Kinney Construction, and Ardura is our design team, and they've been working closely together to develop a package and through a bundling of packages and in preliminary budgets, kind of reviewing as they're going through design, kind of an iterative process. And so the first, next slide, please, Rhonda. The first major sidewalk project that was identified as the priority from the city was connecting the sidewalks. This is located off of Industrial Fanning and Huntington, that kind of that industrial area. That is where the Flagstaff Shelter Services and the food bank are located. So you can see here on this drawing, there's a project that's been identified. We have 100% design. In fact, we have a GMP for this project that will be going forward for mountain line approval. The value of this project is just a little over 2 million. They would start construction here really as soon as we can get that approved. And they've been coordinating in this neighborhood and getting everything kind of ready and set up. And the city project manager is leading that effort. And that would leave about 1.8 million left in that grant pot for other sidewalk type projects. And so again, the city can go back to that list that, there's other projects that have been carried forward with design, and they would come forward with a future GMP for bike lanes and sidewalk and or crossing projects. But it's really working with the city and what they would identify as the next projects to complete the work using these grant funds. And with that completes my presentation. Are there any questions or feedback?
Not hearing any. Thank you, Anne.
You're welcome. Thank you.
The next item is the CEO annual review. That would be Heather.
Thanks, Chair Stahl. So I don't have a presentation for you, but I wanted to point you to the documents in the packet, and I want to walk through them briefly. So if you would like to look at the same document that I'm looking at, I know it was a very large packet to Advisor Covington's point earlier. So on page 57 is the procedure that I'm proposing we follow for this year's evaluation process. It is the same procedure as followed last year. The board last year when we had this discussion, we confirmed that the priorities and the goals of that evaluation can be achieved with the survey tool that we have developed and that really was used with prior CEOs at Mountain Line. And so I am proposing that they just repeat that again this year as part of my year-end evaluation. The HR manager will participate in that she will assist me in getting the surveys out to individuals. We'll remind you that you have the surveys to complete. She will help assemble the surveys into results, and then I will share the results back with all of you and with the board of directors, including progress made on the priorities that were the legislative priorities that were set, the strategic plan that we have in place, the work plan items that we have been working on, and then personal goals that the board and I discussed when we had my review a year ago. So with that, I just wanted to point the process out to you and let you know that's what we're really doing with the board. You can see I'm not really making a recommendation. I'm open to if they would like to change the process. Changing the process does mean that we wouldn't complete it over the summer months. And I think that's fine as long as the board isn't in a rush. But I do think this worked. It gives us 2 years in a row of the same process. It also allows us to think about what this EO evaluation might look like more closely tied to the update to the strategic plan next fall, if they're willing to consider a change at that time. So that's my very brief presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions. And of course, if you did not have time to review this and you have questions later or feedback for me, I really do appreciate your time in that respect.
Thank you, Heather. Any questions for Heather? All right, hearing or seeing none, we'll move on. The next section is the consent agenda. There are 7 items located under the consent agenda. There is no presentation for these, but if any of the TAC advisors have any questions, they are free to ask them now, and Heather and her staff would be available to help answer any of those questions. Hearing none, we will move on from the consent agenda then to progress reports. Under the progress reports, again, there's no presentations for the first 5 of these. If any TAC member has questions or would like an item pulled out, it would have to be pulled out and then presented at a future meeting. Does anyone have anything on the progress reports that they have questions or would like to pull out in the future for the first 5 that are listed? Okay, hearing none on that one also, we will move to number 6, and this is summary of current event, and I'll turn that back over to Heather.
Great. Thank you for that. I want to be briefly, before I go into the current events we have planned, I want to acknowledge that the strategic plan update that was in your packet as a progress report, we focused on getting that moved from a staff report from the May agenda into a progress report for this agenda. And then I failed to take the presentation material to demonstrate what has been completed and put it in an attachment. We will be sending that attachment later today, and it will be included with the board packet. And I just wanted to acknowledge that and apologize for not ensuring that that made it into your packets of information. That said, I want to talk a little bit about current events. Our Transit Advisory Committee does include 2 citizen member seats, and wanted to share with you, and we'll be sharing with the board as well, that at least Rhonda, I'm sorry, are both seats open now?
No, just the city of Flagstaff right now.
Okay.
And then Coconino County and the, when the Gale holds, the economic
Business member.
development.
Yeah.
That one, those will be in the beginning of the year.
Okay.
But the board is the one that Gale is.
Okay, great. So currently our city representative is Michelle James. Our county member is Carol Covington. And our business member for the business, I think it's for the downtown business. I'm not sure the seat is that specific though, is Gail Jackson from Macona. So generally, as we recruit these seats in the board, and decisions are made about those appointments, I'll just say the city determines who sits on behalf of the city, the county determines who sits on behalf of the county, and they actually conduct the application process and then let us know who they have assigned. We do try and get one primary member and a backup for those seats. Carol has been a fantastic member. I don't think we've ever had to have a backup for her. I think you're regularly available for meetings and we appreciate you. And similarly, Michelle regularly attends, but we still like that secondary seat. And then of course the board, the business member, our board will have the application process and they will decide. I have that right, Rhonda?
Correct.
Okay, so we just make all of you aware in case you know someone interested, or if you happen to have one of these seats and are interested in reapplying, we wanted to make sure you knew that they were out there as well. Next slide. We do have some new staff. This was prepared for the May agenda, and I'm happy to say that all of these are still accurate. Generally, by now, we've lost one or two out of our training pool for operators, and we have not lost anyone in that group of 9 that started in May. We did hire a new transportation supervisor. Sorry, Aaron. We happened to take that person from Northern Arizona University, and he's fantastic. And then we have two employees that work in the planning sector. One is MetroPlan's business manager, and the other is our Montoya fellow. So those positions are moving forward with new staff, and we're very excited to welcome them into the building. And certainly we'll celebrate our operators as they go forward in getting their CDLs and join that program. Next slide. Arizona Transit Association Conference was held in Flagstaff in April. Around 300 attendees were here in our community. We were able to host multiple tours of the Downtown Connection Center as well as the CDL course. It was fantastic to have so many transit folks and our vendors who support our industry here in Flagstaff celebrating together. And we look forward to hosting again 3 years from now. That conference travels around the state, and we are a host usually around every 3rd year, although there was an overwhelming request to have it in Flagstaff every year because we're just such a beautiful community, and it was great to have everyone here. So I wanted to share that with you. Next slide, please. Mountain Lion was recognized as Agency of the Year by, I can't read it on my screen. If Jackie's there, she may remember the name of the agency. I don't want to say it wrong.
It's the, and it's very small for me as well, I apologize, but it's the Commission on Inclusion and Adaptive Living, which is a City of Flagstaff commission.
So Mountain Lion was recognized as Agency of the Year for that group. And then Lorena was also recognized by that group, correct, Jackie?
That is correct. She was Employee of the Year is not the right word, but that'll be close enough to give everyone the idea of what she was selected as.
And Lorena does a lot of work with this committee and in this space, and we're so grateful for it. Next slide, please. We did have some May anniversaries that we did not get to. So I asked Rhonda to keep the anniversaries from May in our current events. And then we're also going to share with you June and July. So we have several slides to get through here. Ann Dunno is celebrating 11 years at Mountain Lion. And all you have to do is look around the community at all the wonderful things that are being built and see Ann's fingerprint on our programs and services. And we're so grateful to have her. Ryan Mitchell is celebrating his 4th year as a transit operator. Ryan actually is a hometown person. He grew up here in Flagstaff, and he's great to have on our system because he knows where everything is for our riders, and it's terrific. Next slide. So a couple of June anniversaries, you may recognize the person on the upper left-hand side of this slide. Rhonda is celebrating 14 years as the clerk of the board and executive assistant. Rhonda also chairs our wellness committee, and she's just an all-around fantastic contributor to Mountain Lion, and we're so grateful. Aaliyah De La Torre is our finance coordinator, so she assists Josh with all things financial, probably some of the budget reporting that you have seen or been privy to has had Aaliyah's handprint on it a bit. Karen Moeller is celebrating 11 years with us, and I just want to acknowledge it says transit operator part-time because that's her current role, but Karen has served in a lot of roles at Mountain Lion, including operator. She's served as a supervisor. She's helped with ADA specialist when that was vacant for a long period of time. She worked at our front desk taking phone calls. She's just a well-rounded employee that is always willing to step in and help out, even post-retirement. She still comes in and helps cover our driving shifts, and we're very grateful to her. Some of you may know her. She was a longtime school district employee here at FUSD as well. Mike Langen is celebrating his 3rd year as a transit operator with our system, a steady and consistent part of our operations team. Next slide. A couple more June ones. June is always a big hire month for us. Cody Weaver is celebrating her second anniversary as our HR manager. Most of you have met or spoken with Cody at some point over the 2 years. She will be the one leading my evaluation process. I'm sending you those reminder messages, and we're so grateful for what she does to help with getting new employees on board, creating that welcoming environment that we are striving for. And then Blaine Williams, transit bus operator, is celebrating his second year here at Mountain Line. Blaine has also served, sorry, I'm getting Blaine mixed up with someone else. Blaine does a fantastic job, and again, been in the community for a long time. His passengers really enjoy riding his vehicle. He's consistent and he's a very smooth ride. Next slide, please. And then for July, John Mathis, who most of you have met because he runs our meetings on a regular basis, has actually been with Mountain Line since 19 years. John joined our team when we left Coconino County. We most certainly took him from Coconino County, and is responsible for really all the tech that we have. He set up our systems. He helped lead the way on our website all those years ago, continues to be a crucial part of all the tech. The IT team recently just took over the equipment on the bus, as you may have read in his progress report, his year-end IT update. Jose Peralta is a transit bus operator celebrating 3 years here with us. He is full-time, and we're grateful to have him. Maria Cardenas is a transit operator. She's been with us for 3 years. Maria is dedicated to our paratransit fleet currently. And again, everybody wants to be on her vehicle. She's fabulous. Her customer service is great, and her driving skills are superb. And I think our last anniversary is Jerry on the bottom right-hand corner. Jerry is serving his 7th year as a transit bus operator. And he's, again, a very patient driver and great for our customers. Next slide.
2 more.
Oh, I wasn't done with July anniversaries. It's the list that just keeps going on and on. July anniversary, 2 more. Andy Brown, transit bus operator, celebrating 13 years with Mountain Line. And then Mark Attenberger, who is our fleet supervisor. Mark also has done various positions with the organization. He actually started out as a transit bus operator and moved into our fleet division. He oversees our work order system and ensures we have parts and supplies for the work that the mechanics do, and we're grateful. Next slide. Mountain Line was featured in a case study on small urban transit. The name of the report was Small Cities, Big Moves. We were one of 7 transit agencies in the report, and I had the opportunity to present on our transit system as part of this report to the America Walks group yesterday. 300 people in attendance and so many questions we couldn't get through them all. So I know we're going to try and do another, but the report does a really good job of demonstrating what transit is doing in small communities, as that's often overlooked. There's a big focal point on rural communities. There's a focal point on very large, what we call legacy transit systems like New York and Chicago, and small systems like ours oftentimes doesn't get a lot of time and energy and focus from decision makers, and yet it is a crucial part of how our communities grow, and it's fun to share that story. So I want to share that with you. If you're interested in the report, we can certainly send you a link. Next slide. And I think this is my last slide. These are not the most current pictures, but the Downtown Connection Center is complete. I actually got a text message while we were in today's meeting that it passed final inspection, and we will be in on Monday morning at 8 a.m. open to the public. So very glad to see this project complete, and I invite all of you to stop by anytime we're in the building. We'll give you a tour. We'll talk about the different features, and we certainly hope that you will join us at our upcoming TAC meetings in this building after our July recess. I think that was everything that I had.
Great. Thank you, Heather. Congratulations to everybody on their anniversaries, service anniversaries. And that is true. Looking forward to see everybody in the new building.
Yes.
Go ahead, Kim.
Yeah, thanks, Kurt. Heather, just real quick, do you have actually In terms of the save the date for the open house, do you have more specific date and time or not yet? I just was inquiring because we were
Right.
working with our planning calendar for our board.
We have put it on the calendar as August 6th. That is all I have right now. So we wanted to get in and then start working on that. For now, it's August 6th. We picked that date intentionally. We didn't want to schedule it while everybody was on recess in July. And then we learned that many of our elected officials in DC are in home state that week. And so we're hoping that maybe we can get at least some of their staff to that grand opening celebration because their support for it was certainly key in its completion. So for now, Kim, all we have is August 6th still.
No worries. No, thanks, Heather. I appreciate
Yeah.
that. And just before you move on to the next, I just wanted to again say congrats to Anne and Rhonda, just in terms of since they're on the meeting and their anniversaries and all their dedication to Mountain Line. So thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kim. Any other questions or comments from any of the TAC members? As it was mentioned, we are in recess in July. There will be no TAC meeting in July. Our next meeting is August 7th, and it will be at the new building. And just to say again what Heather just mentioned, we hope to have everybody in person for that meeting on August the 7th. Any other questions or comments before I adjourn the meeting? Hearing none, I will move to adjourn the meeting and everybody have a great rest of the day.
Thanks, everyone. Have a
Thank
great
you.
summer.
Yep.